Well, everyone, we're back talking about some Natsume's Book of Friends. It's been a little bit, but I'm excited to get back into this. With episode 2, we have Natsume's school. He's doing some sort of test of courage at the old school building where we also meet Sasada, who takes interest in Natsume. Natsume walks away once he sees a yokai. But interesting though, Sasada is the only classmate out of besides Natsume himself to feel the yokai walking past her. A little dialogue. There's a little time that's passed as Natsume and Nyanko Sensei have given out a lot of names to the yokai from the book. The show, for the most part, is episodics. So in this one, we meet our yokai from the episode, this tiny man, who the issue with him is returning his name is it's stuck to another name. When Natsume tries forcing it open, it does hurt the tiny man, which tells us that the book has more rules than we were just told about in episode 1. Natsume and Nyanko Sensei go visit the tiny man's shrine where they run into a really sweet old woman who gives Natsume a peek. There's a great character moment where Natsume doesn't know what exactly to say when she strikes up just this really simple conversation about the weather, and he's really insecure about it. He wants to be able to talk to people. The Do God, which is the tiny man who was homeless. He's a yokai until he was praised to for bringing rain. He was the size of a human originally until the villagers stopped visiting him, and then he just continuously shrunk till the size he is now. The old peach woman, though, Hana-san, is the only person who still praises him. Dugat helps Natsume look for another yokai that's glued to his name. To no avail, though, but we do learn that Hana-san saw the Do God once when she was when she was pretty young and didn't have the courage to say anything to him then, reflecting on what Natsume is going through. Natsume has a nightmare of his past, for he knows the feeling of loneliness that these characters are going through, like I said. And Nyanko Sensei tries to eat Natsume in his sleep, which is played for comedic effect, but it could have been a little dangerous. They're not fully at this point the duo. They still you definitely seen time go past, but I mean, if Nakio wanted to, he really could attack Natsume anytime. Do-God leads Natsume to the other yokai, who is pretty spooky and tries to hurt Natsume. I really liked how this episode was paced out, or this moment was paced out like a horror movie. And as Natsume returns his name, we learn that this yokai was also lonely, reflecting the themes of this episode, and until he met Reiko, though. There's a bittersweet moment after this where Hana-san has sadly passed away, and she was the last person to pray to the Do God. So he is disappearing as well. And it's sweet because the two do finally get to have that conversation from long ago. But obviously it's bittersweet because they both, to talk to each other, sadly both have to pass. And we end this episode with Natsume praying at a shrine for maybe he'll help a yokai with feeling less alone as well. And I really liked that, how it ends. And we get a little comedic bit of Nakio Sensei running away with his offering. But yeah, this episode was, like I said, bittersweet episode. I was really moved by the narrative of the Do God and Hana trying to spark up conversation, getting the courage to talk to one another and help with each other's and Natsume himself's own loneliness. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. This was a really good episode. Moving on to episode 3, a young Natsume is alone until a woman approaches him and tells him she can see yokai as well. In the present, a student asks about Natsume, but he is asleep. We learned that he doesn't get much sleep at night because he's given back all the names from the Book of Friends. It's not all that bad, though. Natsume does start to talk to Toko, his caretaker, as well as a few other friends he's starting to make in school. So I like seeing that little growth we already saw. And we then see these two yokai come to Natsume's home to ask to kill a human for them that has been causing problems for him. Natsume initially says no, so they just keep bothering him until he agrees, where he does get to see this unknown power killing off some yokai, but also, maybe just don't bother people until they do what you want. Just a less really cool shot where Nyanko behind the shrine is changing back to his cat form. The animators, they didn't really have to do this. They could have had him transform off screen, but I really appreciate that little detail. Back to young Natsume talking with his friend who turns out to be a yokai that disguised herself as a human so that she could connect with Natsume. And it's a really sad scene because he doesn't take it well, and his extended family and the kids from his school ostracize him for being able to see yokai, and he just views this gift as a curse. So, like, seeing the one person that was able to relate to him be the thing that everyone dislikes him for, like being a yokai. It's just a really sad scene, but he's just really confused at this time at such a young age. Anyway, back to the present. Natsume suspects the new student at his school is the one causing the yokai harm. Where we also meet Mizuzu, the big cow yokai. There's a pretty poorly animated chase scene, but it does turn out the culprit is not the student Tanama, but his father, actually, a Buddhist priest who didn't know his power was hurting the yokai. He was just trying to help calm their emotions to help his son. May reaches out to Tanama now in school, who can sense the presence of yokai, but he doesn't see him fully. And then we end this episode with Natsume deciding to get some much needed sleep instead of overexerting himself to give Mizuzu his name back. Yeah, this has some solid storytelling of not assuming the worst in people, not doing things, trying to help when you lack the knowledge of like what is fully going on here. Do your research before fully going in, and as well as reaching out. And we get a few new characters as well that will be added to the show. So I'll give this a 7 out of 10. It was a pretty solid episode. All right, that is it for now. I'll see y'all next time. Stay cozy.